Margot and Lilith. Assuming that you're leaving, that boozy owner, or manager at least, of the Egyptian palace, Adelind, she kind of just appears as you guys are stepping out into the restaurant area to leave. She kind of is there. And she's got a half empty tumbler of something. And she kind of like steps up to the two of you. She looks at you, Lilith, and says, I was wondering, my wee lassie, if you wouldn't mind hitting it so that the little Peking duck and I can have a conversation.
I think Lilith shoots a look at Margot like, is this cool? Is this what you want?
And I give the this might be a GTFO moment anyways look back to you because I made a promise.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Fucking, I'm out. I walk swiftly.
Where will you go, Lilith? Just out of curiosity.
I'm thinking like a little ways down so that I could still look through the window at their conversation. But if shit starts going down, I can like run like the wind.
Right, yeah. In case Margot turns into a werewolf randomly in the middle of the restaurant. Who knows? Once Lilith is gone, nobody else is in the bar. She kind of like circles back around to the bar and she says, so, can I get you anything?
Well, first I would just like to correct an apparent misperception on your part. I'm of Korean descent, not Chinese, so cut out the Peking duck stuff. Okay?
And she kind of looks at you and she kind of puts her hands on the bar and she says, okay, whatever makes you feel comfortable, hon. Gosh, some people can't take a joke anymore. And she reaches for a bottle. It's like some kind of bottle of like brandy or something. She says, can I pour you
one? Thanks, but nope. I saw what that stuff did to my dad, among other chemical substances.
Oh, yes, your dad. I'm glad you bring that up because that's what I want to talk about today.
Are you one of his customers or because
gosh, no, I have one.
I'm not covering any debts if he was buying from you, and I'm not fulfilling any sales if you were buying from him.
I've only got the time and inclination for one poison, and you're looking at it. She points to the wall behind her. She says, I know what you're doing here. I know, for example, that you're wondering how come in just 3 months, everybody in town has forgotten about the teacher who murdered a bunch of kids and that waitress, your father who, well, we know how that turned out. No one's talking about it, right? Isn't that weird?
Yes, that's super weird. And why are you talking about? Because I got to tell you, kind of wigging me out right now.
We have a bit of a habit in Mercy Falls of this sort of behavior. And I think this may go much deeper than you realize. Back in 1989, Norma, the waitress who was killed at the Double Q, she was the leader of a cult, a moon goddess cult. They kidnapped people, committed murders of their own, and then it just stopped and no one talks about it anymore. A few years before that, in 1983, a bunch of kids were stalked by a serial killer and murdered. I remember because I had weekend detention when it began. No one talks about those killings anymore. Years before that, more cult activity, strange art movements. Before that, a young man returns home from the war and a bunch of old women go missing. No one talks about any of this stuff anymore. Don't you find that a little odd?
And disturbing. So what are you saying to me?
I'm saying I know what you're up to. I can smell big man on you. And I'm saying that Sister Mary Edward Price, she's just a tool. She's the hammer, so to speak. She's not the person with the toolbox. She's not the person in charge of this little operation. You want to go deeper, you need to talk to old Sheriff Nichols, Catherine Forsyth. They're the ones who really know what's going on in this town.
Sheriff Nichols and Catherine Forsyth are the people with the toolbox? That's what you're saying?
They're the people who have been keeping Mercy Falls tidy for the last 30 years. Whenever the woods get fussy, whenever there's an agitation, they're the ones who calm everything down. But this last one was a bad one if they called that nun in.
So, what's your deal in all this? Why are you sharing all this with me? I mean, look, I'll be upfront with you since you seem to be dropping knowledge to me. I intend to clean up some of these lies in town. You seem to be actually kind of honest about this whole thing. Is there something you want from me?
Honest. That's a very interesting adjective to be applied to me. I know lots of people would not see it that way.
Well, no one else will admit what's going on in this town. At least you will.
I'm more of a careful observer. And let's just say, back in 83, when I was a girl, a number of my friends were killed. And no one talks about it anymore. And that bothers me. And so I too would like some sort of resolution, some sort of justice.
Definitely want to see some changes around here. We've got an overlap of interests.
Yes, possibly. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to tend to my customers. She goes and pours herself another drink.
I'll shove back from the bar, walk out looking around for Lilith.
I think Lilith like tackles you headlong. Like you just don't even see her coming. She just like revs right into your side and does the patented like hit on your arm, and she's like, "What was that all about?"
Let's get on the street to talk about this. You're not going to believe this. So, the boozer, she's saying she knows what Sister Mary Edward Price is. She said she is just merely a tool, and that the people who have the toolbox or workbench or wherever that metaphor goes are Sheriff Nichols and Miss Forsyth, and that they're behind several cycles of this horrible things happening to Mercy Falls, and then everyone just disregarding it and letting it go.
I think Lilith is stunned for a moment, and then she does her like, "Shut up," and it hits you in the arm again.
We got to work on your punching skills. You're not following through properly, Lilith.
I'm going to cut over to Ellen. You snap out of this weird hypnotic state you were in, right? That she kind of put you in when you closed your eyes. And you're still in the car there with Sister Mary Edward Price, and she says, "Dear, I'm going to take you home now, but I want you to come by my office in the administrative suite of the high school. You know where it's at. You've seen me around. I want you to come by my office tomorrow morning because I think we need to discuss this matter more. Is that all right? Would you be willing to do that?"
Doesn't say anything. She just kind of does the uncertain head shake.
She kind of puts her hand on your hand, and I wouldn't say it's like unnerving. I would say it's actually probably like very genuine and warm, sort of like touching your hand. And she says, "I can tell you have put up with some really terrible things, and I just want you to know that we're going to make it better. Okay, Ellen, we're going to make it better."
Can we go now?
She starts the car and kind of pulls back down the way. You get down the hill back to the sort of main highway that connects up with Mercy Falls proper toward your house. And she says, after some silence, she says, "So, do you have a date for the Yule Ball?"
She actually gets like angry that's her opening line on this, and she just clenches her fists and puts her hands on her legs and turns and looks out the window.
Sorry, I shouldn't pry.
I don't want to talk about boys with a nun.
And she kind of laughs and says, just because I've chosen to marry Christ doesn't mean that I don't understand where young women are coming from, Ellen. I'm still a human. I'm still a woman. And I wasn't unlike you in school, if I'm being perfectly honest. I was something of an awkward girl. I had a difficult time.
Can you just stop talking?
All right. She kind of like pats your knee. Says, I think we're almost to your place just now. And she stops in front of the
in the second that the car is even still in motion, kind of that not quite stopped, I am throwing that car door open, and
nice.
I'm doing that thing where I grab onto the car door when I get, because I'm gonna slam this as hard as inhumanly possible.
And she rolls the window down. She says, tomorrow morning after homeroom?
Run.
Yeah. It's a good scene. Okay. All right, let's sort this out, Jonah. All right, so
they've failed you. There's no reason why you should have to suffer the consequences of their idiocy. You need to make an example out of each of them, a cruel and unwavering example. You escape your darkest self when you relinquish part of your power over to someone more deserving, or when you destroy an innocent person in order to prove your might.
That's really interesting. That implies that you blame Rhodey and Tony, right, for this happening, and you would have to punish one of them in a way to escape that.
Each of them.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
I need to make an example out of each of them.
Is that interesting to you, or do you want to go the loose strings route?
I think I can work with this.
Okay.
We haven't seen much Darkest Self, so it'd be fun to kind of get that out on the board a little bit.
We can do that.
And so these like things, like what were they, like goblin?
They're his goblins, yeah, but they don't look like goblins. They're a sort of goblin. They throttled you. They crushed your esophagus.
I'm imagining they do a bit more than that too. Like I imagine that's happening, and I'm like reaching out to Rhodey and Tony, and then I see like the look of fear in their face as they like turn and run.
Oh, like the goblins, because the goblins had grabbed them, but maybe they just kind of pulled them away, but not actually holding them, I guess.
Something like that. And then I'm imagining that maybe the goblins start like clawing out my guts a bit.
Oh, it's really nasty.
As I like fall to the ground. And I think that I start bleeding out, and then like I still have the stag skull mask on. And through the holes, you can like see my eyes in the light. But then like as my head slumps, the light no longer shows my eyes, and it just looks like the eyes get a bit dark. And I'm just bleeding out. And I think that's when Thomas walks up.
Just out of character again, he's going to save your life. And is he the one who wants you to do bad things to Rhodey and Tony, or are you doing that because you're just angry about the situation?
Oh, that's me being angry because they left me. But I think he's got something else in mind as well.
That's perfect. Okay, good. I'm going to give him another string on you. I'm also going to erase his condition as well. Condition that like you were kind of befuddling him, but that's long.
Oh, yeah, no longer.
That's not a thing anymore. Okay, let's pick that up. Like in hospital dramas and stuff, we sometimes see the patient like in surgery or in some kind of like duress, and they have like a flash of like the nurses and doctors doing their thing, and then they go back out and they flash, and we hear the doctor say, "I don't think we're going to be able to save him," and then like it goes back out. Right? Like it's like this like constant flashing of like we as a viewer get to see what's happening outside of them, but like the person only has little snatches of it. It's like that. At first we see like with Thomas standing over them, we see the goblins like removing your internal organs, and then it flashes away. Then it flashes back, and we see them stuffing the cavity with nightshade and and other plants and flowers, right? Like just filling the cavity with it. And then we flash, and you're all sewn up. You're still laying there in the middle of some room. The room, I should note, has got that sort of like sickly green motes of light kind of illuminating everything. We see a flash of his sort of like major domo goblin, the one that has the metal mesh suit. They all have metal mesh suits, but like this one has like the flowers on it, right? That's how we know he's the one in charge. He's like standing over you. His line, "Now you are beautiful," right? And then we flash away from that. It feels like a lot of time has passed. It's a little unclear. At a certain point, we have a flash, and Thomas is basically making out with your corpse or whatever is left of you, right? That just happened at some point in the middle of all this. Who knows when? And eventually you're awake. You feel fine. You're angry, but you've been deposited on the road down the hill, just laying there in the dead leaves and mud. Not a completely unusual situation for you, right? The mask, nowhere to be found. What do you do?
Okay. Do I have any indication of how much time has passed? It's like,
I think it's the next
okay.
morning, at least. Also, no indication of like surgical scars or anything. Just smooth flesh on your abdomen.
Okay.
How are you
So
feeling?
I think I'm feeling. I think that when I wake up and I'm in these leaves and then it's mud, I think I like sit up and I like do this wail like, and then I like look down at my stomach and I start like feeling my stomach, and I'm like smearing finger marks like where I should be like cut open and shit. And I like feel my throat, and I look around and I like feel that I'm not wearing my mask anymore. I see the headlights of a car coming, and that's when I kind of scramble to my feet and go and I hide behind a tree.
Okay, so it's really early morning then, right? Not even dawn, right? Like maybe not quite dawn.
It's early enough to where like someone would be having their headlights on.
It's probably like 5 in the morning, 4.
Right. And then like I'm like behind the tree and I'm like breathing heavily, and then I think we see him run off. And then I think he goes, I think it's like a hunting store or something that has
I have no doubt there's definitely one in Mercy Falls, right?
There's like a stag skull in like the window, and he just like breaks the glass with his fist. Even if he has to take a harm, he'll do that just because he has to have it's like his face.
Let's go with the harm instead of like provoking and keep your cool. I think it's early enough in the morning where nobody would be around,
right?
Pay attention.
And he's not keeping his cool.
Right, he will. Yeah, that too. Yeah.
He smashes the window and like grabs the stag skull in the window and like pulls it through the glass, and his like arm is all cut and bleeding, and he just like puts it on his head.
I want to go around the table and just poll you guys to find out if you want to do anything the remainder of that night before we go to Friday morning. Lilith, what do you think?
The only thing I can think of is maybe trying to do something else with Margot with that information that we just learned about. I think we'd be pretty excited to act on it pretty quickly.
Margot, what do you think?
Yeah, at least if nothing else, now that Adeline told us about Sheriff Nichols and Miss Forsyth kind of being responsible for everyone just forgetting about what's going on, that it's almost like you have to have a little research party or something. So I don't know if we have a montage at the little local coffee shop that's open late with a Chromebook, and we're going through stuff and just making notes or whatever.
Yeah. And some basic information. Sheriff Nichols and Catherine Forsyth, their families have lived in Mercy Falls for a long time, going way back. Okay, like back to like maybe even as far back as like the Camptown days, right? Sheriff Nichols and Catherine Forsyth don't have any like particular relationship themselves to each other. They obviously know each other, and they've been, they grew up together. Presumably they went to school together, but like they don't hang out. They don't have like a life. Both are never married, never had kids. Both do occasionally leave town at the same time, usually about once a year. They both go, like their vacations kind of line up. That's something that happens. But those are things you can discover pretty easily just by talking to your folks or doing some research, right? So we'll just kind of leave it at that. What about you, Ellen? Anything you want to do that night?
I imagine that she gets back in, it's late, sneaks back up to her room. She's got, a nice bed, and it's got, some of those under the bed drawers and things, and then there's junk shoved under it as well. And I imagine that you see her kind of bend down and kind of just slide like a snake in under the bed. It kind of twists. That's her comfort place because it's like the grave.
Good. I love it. It's good. Is that a gaze into the abyss by chance?
No, I think that's just her hiding.
Okay. Sounds good. I didn't know if like maybe getting close to the grave like triggered something or whatever, or close to the
No, but let me think about that for later. That's a really good point.
Awesome. It's the next day. Yule Ball is tonight. Well, Miss Forsyth is still running Homeroom. I think you're all there. Well, she's coming. Well, I'll give you guys a chance to have scenes before Miss Forsyth arrives. But of particular interest to Lilith and Margot, Miss Forsyth is going to be there for Homeroom, right? Like she has been ever since Mr. Thompson was put in jail. And there's a really good chance that like she's going to be here again this morning. So with all that said, any scenes we want in Homeroom, like with any of the kids, any last ditch attempts to get someone to go to Yule Ball with Ellen, anything like that?
No, actually, I think Ellen is taking advantage. She's telling herself that it's a way to avoid being seen, and everybody knows. I mean, everybody knows that she doesn't have a date, and they're all going to be snickering at her, like Lilith and all of them. And so she actually goes and waits outside of Sister Mary's office and doesn't go to Homeroom.
Doesn't go to Homeroom. Okay, good. All right, hold that thought. What about Margot, Jonah, Lilith? What are you guys doing during Homeroom before Catherine Forsyth arrives?
I'd like to spend a little time before Homeroom settles down with Ben. Go, kind of like, I couldn't help but notice that you were talking to Jonah about, going stag to the Yule Ball, but, poor Ellen, I think she kind of likes you. Maybe you should ask her to go, or, if you're too nervous, I'll go ask for you. But I think it'd be better if you did it.
I'd like, out of character, I'd like for you to go ask. So I'm kind of here for that. He says, well, I just have like one concern. I mean, Ellen seems really nice, but I just have like one concern about her and I going to Yule Ball together.
Yeah.
Well, she's really tall, and I know I haven't hit my growth spurt yet. That's what my mother says, but well, it just, I don't know. Like I feel like it might be a little weird. Like we walk in looking like a lowercase b or something. I'm not sure, but it could be.
I
really
reach
strange.
over and put my hand on his shoulder. I'm like, Ben, I'm going to tell you something right now, and it's probably the most important thing you're ever going to learn in school. Don't give a shit what other people think. Just try to be happy, dude. Look, if you're interested in going with Ellen, hell, I'll go ask her for you. And hell, you guys could come along with me and Justin. It'll be a good party. We'll have fun.
Austin, yeah.
Austin.
He's like, okay, yeah, that'd be great. My mom thinks that I should go with a group anyway. She's read lots of statistics about like teens on prom night and similar nights. Things getting a little out of hand. I think going in a group would be the safest thing. It's too bad we can't get Jonah to go with us, right? I mean, I really care about Jonah's mom, And I don't want to see her be upset because Jonah is, he's kind of breaking her heart. And I just feel so bad.
Jonah is just about Jonah, Ben. I don't see
And
any way
Rhodey
he's
and Tony.
No, they're just window dressing, whatever. He doesn't actually care about those guys. They're just there to prove how great Jonah is. Come on. Have you ever seen him do anything for anyone that doesn't benefit? He is all about Jonah, Jonah, Jonah.
Well, I guess I just
Hell, yeah, you can ask him. You might want to put like some mud swirls on your cheeks or something. He might pay attention to you then.
I know Jonah's like into some bad stuff, and I know I've only ever tried to be his friend, and he just treats me like crap. I know that. I don't know why. We've been neighbors our whole lives, and every time I've ever tried to be a friend to him, every time I've ever tried to just be neighborly or whatever, he's always just taking a dump on me. He just can't figure it out. I don't know. My mom says that like people like that just, we have to just keep trying, we got to keep trying.
Ben, you're a better person than I will probably ever be. You want to try again, go for it. Just don't be surprised when Jonah is Jonah.
He's like, Yule Ball's tonight, and I guess Ellen will do.
Whoa. That sort of attitude, you're not going to have a very good date, Ben.
I'm sorry. I mean, she's really nice. Yeah, I didn't mean
She
it that
is
way.
nice. I'll talk to her when she comes into homeroom here for you, okay?
He's like, oh, I actually saw her. She's out. I don't think she's coming to homeroom. I saw her over at the administration office. She's got some kind of meeting.
Well, I'll be back in a bit. And I get up and just walk out with my backpack.
So Sarah sits down, Lilith, and she's like, so I've been thinking about what we're going to wear tonight. And I was thinking, since we're going as friends, I thought it would be fun if we had some kind of like matching outfit, or we went with some kind of theme, just make it like a fun thing. What do you think? What do you think about ugly Christmas sweaters?
to a ball? I don't know about that. What about
It would be funny. Come on, like everyone would expect us to. Everybody else is going to be showing up in like gowns, and then we show up in these like big ugly sweaters. Like that'd be hilarious.
I think it would be funny, but then we have to spend the whole night in sweaters dancing. Right?
That's not her laughing, it's me laughing. She's like, well, it was just an idea. I mean, what do you think? What should we do?
I think you should dress to the nines, and then we'll all dress like in like a pantsuit, like David Bowie 80s style, and we'll just like mess with people's expectations.
Oh, I get it. Right. That's cool. Like you're the guy. That's cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that'll be fun. So maybe like you can come to my house, or I can come to your house, a few hours before. We can kind of get this worked out. I think I'm going to push on your awkward, because she's kind of like saying, you want to come over to my house? And maybe you're interpreting that a different way or whatever. I want you to keep it cool.
Okay, sounds good. Cool.
And tell me what you're afraid of. Like, how can your awkwardness get you in trouble here?
I think after that experience in the forest, she definitely thinks that she's probably bisexual or something, and there might be like a stigmatism about that might come up. Is 8 minus 1 is 7.
I will tell you how your actions would leave you vulnerable, and you can choose to back down or go through with it. I would like to suggest that, like, if you agree to go over to her house, you might betray in this moment that like you have other intentions with Sarah that she is not aware of, right? And so I'll let you decide whether you want to take her up on that offer or not.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think even if she stumbles, she's going to try to deal with the situation. The way that it worked out, she sort of probed a little and sort of found out that Sarah's at least not into her in that way. But I think that she's still trying to process what all of this stuff means for her. So even muddling through will be a good experience for her.
So right now in this moment, like when she says, so you want to come over to my house at like 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock? What do you do or say that like makes it seem like you're particularly anxious or excited to do that or whatever, right?
Yeah, I think she blushes for a second, and it seems like for that moment she's going to be the old Lilith, but then she like darts her hand out and puts it on Sarah's, and she's like, "That sounds great." Makes a split decision, and
Does your hand linger for just a little too long?
yeah, and it's also like showing that she's way too overeager even still. Like even still,
Yeah.
Sarah's probably not stupid and was like, "We're going as friends, right?" And
Right, yeah,
Lilith
yeah.
is still like
Right.
a
Yeah.
little
I think your hand lingers a little too long, and she kind of like looks at you, like gives you a little like kind of like, okay, and pulls
yeah.
your hand away. Right. Jonah, when do you arrive?
I think I'll arrive a little bit late, but I think that before, like on the way to school, I think Rhodey comes across me.
So yeah, I'm gonna have a scene with Rhodey.
Maybe not like an entire scene.
Like
on the way to school, like he's walking to school, and I think he's like walking down this road, and I think I step out of the trees.
Nice.
And
I'm
still naked.
Are you trying to do this to where he can't like hear you or see you or what?
No, I think he definitely notices me.
And you still don't have any clothes on? Is that what you said?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still naked.
He's like, "Oh my God, Jonah!" And he runs up to like hug you because I think he thought you were dead, right?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna backhand him, send him flying.
Hello, listeners. We hope you're enjoying Monsterhearts: Memories of Mercy Falls. As it turns out, there are a number of costs associated with producing pocket-sized play, including various hosting fees, online services like Dropbox, and editing. You can help defray those costs by supporting the Gauntlet on Patreon. A $2 pledge goes a long way toward keeping the lights on at Pocket-Sized Play, and you won't just be supporting the show, you'll also get exclusive early access to each new Pocket-Sized Play series in its entirety that we produce. So head over to patreon.com/gauntlet and support this show today. Thanks.